All right. Channel 5 News, how Elon Musk was red-pilled. Let's hear it.
All right, let's take a moment to talk about Elon Musk's radicalization that's being referenced in that interview, because I too have caught wind of the 10-year-old 4chan memes being posted by Elon on X and thought to myself, how the heck did that happen? Back in the day during the Obama era, I can remember when Elon Musk was a full-blown save the earth liberal and frequently secured massive government contracts from the Democrats, which he used to build eco-friendly cars and rockets.
I have a Tesla.
Have I told you guys my theory on this? Because if you look at the Obama administration days, he really had like an open door policy for tech billionaires, all the tech people. I don't know if Musk is a billionaire back then or if Zuckerberg was, but he had like an open door policy for all of these tech people to come through the door, and really kind of actually started this off. You know, I've said this before. I think Obama was a really good president, but he definitely did some things that I do not agree with, that I disliked. One of them was, reaching out to corporate interests, but also how much time he spent with these tech people. And it seems as though after Obama, they did try to kind of, get in with Biden as well. And for whatever reason, I think that, I think this is the reason, actually. Biden seems very anti-AI, right? Very concerned, and for the correct reasons. But he seemed like he was very against AI and against, kind of obviously he wasn't big on the social media thing. He wasn't big on the misinformation, disinformation that was being spread. But obviously he pushed these guys off a bit, right? So it seems as though during the Democratic run for presidency a year ago, Biden in no way wanted these guys to be a part of it, right? And now it seems as though they've made their way into Donald Trump's graces, specifically because he's the most open door. Like, Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is, if you have money, he is the easiest person to manipulate, hands down. Like, all you gotta do is stuff some dollar bills in Donald Trump's pockets, and he will let you do anything. And anybody that disagrees with me with that, just take a look at what's going on right now. Elon Musk has absolutely no expertise doing what he's doing. He doesn't have any expertise doing what he usually does, but he definitely has no expertise doing what he's doing right now. And it's just he stuffed enough dollar bills in Donald Trump's pockets that now he can do whatever he wants. He can take your Social Security information. He can cut off the check to your grandma. Whatever you want. Whatever he wants. So, I mean, that's my theory on this, is that all of these techno-oligarchs had found a spot with Obama that when Biden took office disappeared. And I think even with the Donald Trump era, Donald Trump wasn't, he wasn't EV. Now they are. Really weird. Really weird. But now they are. But he didn't have a lot of love for all these people. Obviously, he hated the social media thing because he kind of felt like he was constantly getting disparaged. He hates anybody that talks out against him. Obviously, we've seen what happens with Trump in the media constantly. He's treated social media the same way, right? They're like, they hid the laptop. The Hunter Biden, you notice there's still no Hunter Biden laptop, even though they have the keys to the castle. There's still no Hunter Biden laptop. That's just like the Epstein list and everything else, these guys. They just say shit, just like McCarthy did, and then they don't have any evidence for it. But anyways, during that time, it seemed as though he also was very anti. So there's a pretty good gap of about a decade there between Obama and where we are now. And I think that pretty much explains why all of these people went from who they were to where they are now, because obviously all of these guys want to be in charge of what happens moving forward with AI and everything else as far as the semiconductor production and all that stuff goes.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. I love it.
He was even tweeting in support of trans rights just a few years ago and vocally criticizing Trump.
He's not the right guy. He doesn't seem to have the sort of character that reflects well in the United States.
But like so many...
Yeah, that's crazy. That's such a crazy... the number of people that spoke really poorly about Donald Trump and then now they're in his good graces, it just shows that every relationship with Donald Trump is transactional, right?
Tweeting in support of trans rights just a few years ago and vocally criticizing Trump.
He's not the right guy. He doesn't seem to have the sort of character that reflects well in the United States.
But
Yeah, and that's still true. Like, none of that has changed. Elon has changed.
So many Americans, both left and right, 2020 broke him. Within 5 years of voting for Brandon, Elon would be tweeting things like, pronouns suck, and I love Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. So how did that happen? The way I see it, it all goes back to the first stage of the COVID pandemic, which gave birth to the anti-lockdown Freedom March movement, which Elon was quite fond of.
Freedom! As they like walk around on the streets, the fact that these people thought that was encroaching on their freedoms is legit, like the best evidence of the entitlement that happens here in America. These people have no fucking idea what it's like to live in a country that actually has taken away people's freedoms. It's both hilarious and really fucking sad.
Elon's first personal freedom outburst came on April 28, 2020, shortly after the Trump administration and Democratic government officials in California ordered the shutdown of American Tesla factories to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Tesla, which employs roughly 10...
Ah, yes, here we go. The money getting taken away. There we go. Now we're on to something.
1,000 people at its Fremont plant was initially forced to shut down.
Immediately, Elon tweeted in all caps, "Free America," became critical of...
It just fucking cracks me up. Free America. Like all the people that talked about the mask mandates and the COVID passports and all that shit that never existed. Never actually existed. Like I said, literally... fucking reading about that time once again right now. It's such a like weird thing that people have where they believe something happened in a certain way. They get it stuck in their brain. They repeat it enough, and then the people around them repeat it enough, and they're like, man, if you remember the COVID days, we couldn't go anywhere. Weren't allowed to do anything. It's like specifically in red states. Like red states as a whole didn't lock down like at all. Like, I mean, like Florida did for like half a second.
Lockdowns and began calling the government actions of Trump and Newsom fascist.
Musk telling investors the orders hinder people's freedom.
This is fascist. Give people back their goddamn freedom.
Though initially pro-lockdown,
we've made the decision to further toughen the guidelines and blunt the infection now.
Trump quickly...
God, that's the part I'm in right now, is the part where Trump was actually calling for the mask mandates and the lockdowns. It's fucking surreal that people do not remember this shit.
Quickly capitalized on the growing unrest amongst freedom-hungry conservatives and staunchly positioned himself against the CDC and blue state governors in an obvious effort to court more votes for the upcoming election.
The Chinese virus.
You know they won't.
You know, one of my favorite arguments when people say, why can't he call it the Chinese virus? Is people say, well, what about the Spanish flu? How many people know that the Spanish flu did not originate in Spain? That the reason it's called the Spanish flu is because during the war, Spanish flu broke out. And so people didn't want to let their adversaries know that they were being decimated, as the Spanish flu was insane, right? So most countries weren't reporting on any of their Spanish flu numbers as to not give any information to their adversaries. The only country, well, not the only country, but the one country that was neutral and was reporting its numbers was Spain. Therefore, that's why they call it the Spanish flu. It didn't originate in Spain. Like, this is what I'm saying. You know what I hate about politics? It's just so many people make such wild-ass statements with absolutely no background knowledge on anything they believe. Anything. They're just like, I heard somebody else say this shit, and so it must be true.
Won't be any more COVID on November 4th. It'll be gone.
Still, throughout that election cycle, Elon stayed loyal to the Democrats and voted for Biden in 2020.
Biden won. Yes, I believe he won.
And you voted for it.
I did.
But things really heated up between Biden and Elon in 2021 after Biden held an electric vehicle summit and took the stage with the CEOs of both Ford and General Motors.
Yep,
Didn't
see?
invite Tesla.
Praising them as the leaders of electric
told
vehicles,
ya.
despite the fact that at that point, Tesla had made 115,000
Angela.
EVs in America,
Me too.
and General Motors had only made 26.
He never mentions Tesla, and that's got to be getting under Elon's skin.
You know, like Biden held this.
Damn. Good God. And you've got to think about it in this manner. Joe Biden kind of comes from that blue collar idea of, like, you know, things like Ford, the car manufacturers, the unions, all that stuff, super important to him. Obviously, the only president that's ever walked a actual, like, picket line, like a full-on picket line, an active picket line, right? To be that fucking thin-skinned, dog. To be so thin-skinned. Also, bro, what the fuck is that bandana? Somebody, what the fuck is going on with that bandana? Look at Elon Musk. What is that fashion? This man needs more women in his life. God damn it. But to be that thin-skinned, that he didn't mention your car company, which at that time, if I remember right, was doing perfectly fucking fine. It didn't need to be mentioned. Instead, he wanted to big up other American corporations. And Elon Musk got big sad off that shit. Jesus Christ.
This EV summit. Didn't mention Tesla once and praised
What is up with that bandana?
revolution.
Biden never explicitly stated why Elon and Tesla were left out of the summit, but it likely wasn't about the mean tweets from the year before. Also invited to the summit and on stage was the UAW, or the United Auto Workers Union, the largest car manufacturer union in America, who work every single day to make sure that auto workers get fair pensions and wages.
They often did this through extreme hardship and sacrifice, sometimes at the expense of spilled blood.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, if you work for a union and you voted for Trump, you're as dumb as the people that voted for him that work for the IRS. If you voted for Donald Trump and you're a pro-union person, you are easily as dumb as the IRS people that also voted for Donald Trump.
Biden is notably pro-union.
I'm proud to be the first president to walk a picket line.
And received large campaign donations from the Auto Workers Union, who'd recently tried and failed to unionize Tesla workers.
The United Auto Workers Union, or UAW, alleged that Tesla fired a worker for attempting to form a union.
Because of the company's immediate termination policy, Tesla is the only major auto manufacturer in the US not represented by a single union, and their workers are paid significantly less than other rival car manufacturers, despite having reported unsafe workplace conditions on a consistent basis for the past 4 years.
Don't worry, guys. He's gonna really make the government better with his anti-union, anti-worker. Like, why is this surprising to anybody? Why is anybody surprised that what Elon Musk is doing in the government, like, doesn't give two shits about regular people? How is anybody convinced at this point that Elon Musk wants people to do well? He has never, even when he was fucking liberal, did not take care of his fucking workers, did not take care of regular people. The only person that Elon Musk cares about is Elon Musk. It's fucking insane that people defend this right now. Holy
Tesla
shit.
factory workers in California are working so hard they're passing out on the production line.
Tesla employees say they were worked to exhaustion.
Former Tesla workers sue the company.
Approximately 50 workers were not adequately protected from excessive heat.
Inspectors found workers were exposed to hexavalent chromium.
He's always had a record of abusing workers. There are labor claims against him at the factory in Milpitas for excessive heat and putting workers into dangerous conditions.
Yet without the ability...
You know what this reminds me of? You guys know about, was it the plutonium girls or whatever it was? It was, they used to paint watch faces with, I think it's uranium, and don't quote me on that. It's been a long time since I read about this story. But they used to paint the watch faces, and when they'd paint the watch faces, they'd do it with a paintbrush, a little tiny paintbrush, and they'd stick it in their mouth, and then they'd dip it in the uranium, And all these girls, their jaws deteriorated. They got like gnarly fucking cancers and stuff from it. Here, let's see if we can pull that up real quick. My daughter says I use too many words. Fun. Radium girls. The radium girls. The radium girls were female factory workers who contracted radiation poison. God, I can't read right now. The radium girls were female factory workers who contracted radiation poisoning from painting radium dials, watch dials, and hands with self-luminous paint. The incidents occurred at 3 factories in the United States, one in Orange, New Jersey, beginning around 1917, one in Ottawa, Illinois, beginning in the early 1920s, and one in Waterbury, Connecticut, also in the 1920s. Here, let's see if we can get a picture of this. Yeah, these girls would paint these watch faces. I wonder if I can find... I doubt there is any pictures of this. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Holy Jesus. Oh my God. Look at that. That is so crazy. That is so insane. But that's what it reminds me of. Because it was like, they didn't care at all what happened to those women. They knew that something would probably be wrong with doing what they were doing. They did not care anything at all about these women. And this is the type of stuff that when I say, like, you know, I don't want to concentrate on Trump's, you know, racism. I don't want to concentrate on Trump's infidelity. I don't want to concentrate on Trump's, you know, what he said about his daughter. All of that shit. Because there's, like, much more important things to be concerned about. Like, does it make him a shitty human being? Of course it does. Does it make him despicable? Of course it does. But the more important things that need to be concentrated on, should be pointed out, is like how these types of things can actually lead to making people's lives worse. You know, their policies, you know, the things that they believe, like you should run a company in a certain way, that people's lives as workers don't matter, that if, you know, you're not going to do what they want you to do as far as, you know, putting the goddamn radium in your mouth, then you can get fired and no one cares. Like, that's what I think people should be much more concerned about than all the personal shit that goes on with Donald Trump. There's plenty to make fun of him about, mock him about his, like, personal life and his bullshit. But the real actual thing that people should be concerned about is that these people have a past that can potentially lead to a future for all of us that involves sticking fucking radium in your mouth and losing your job.
To unionize and demand fair wages and conditions, these complaints have mostly died in the courts or fallen on deaf ears at Tesla corporate. Elon has said that his anti-union stance isn't about making more money for himself, but actually because unions kind of kill the vibe.
And I think the unions naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a kind of sort of lords and peasants situation.
What? Did he say it tries to create a lords and peasants situation? Holy shit, dude. How could you possibly hear, as a union worker, hear that dude say that and be like, this guy's based. He's intelligent. This guy should be fucking cutting the government. The union, literally, it takes that away. Like, anybody that's worked in a union that understands how a union works, like, the unions aren't always the best, 100%. Sometimes the unions work too closely with these corporations and they get bad contracts because they also take bribes and take money and stuff. But the knowledge that you will get benefits, the knowledge that you have somebody that will, you know, sue a corporation if, you know, the environment is unhealthy, like the Radium Girls, I bet they wish they had a union. The fact that, you know, after a certain amount of hours, you are due a raise, that, you know, if you work from one department to the next department, that You deserve to be paid what the people that work in that department get paid. The fact that your overtime hours are protected as far as making sure that you're getting paid correctly. Like, lords and peasants, brother? Who the fuck hears this stuff and is like, man, this guy's really, really smart. 5-alarm fire. Thank you for the $10. Hi, AG. This is for showing up late to the stream. Glad to be here with you all again. You can, dude, show up anytime you want, my friend. What's up, Starman? Thank you for the $10. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. God damn it. This is so fucking, it's infuriating to watch because it just like 100% tells you that people either don't give a fuck about other people and whether or not it affects other people as long as it doesn't affect them, or they're just stupid. They hear him say it and they're like, but he sends rockets into space.
Situation.
Anyways, after being snubbed
What's
at
up,
the summit,
Manny?
Elon was pissed.
So you were pissed.
And around this exact time, 2 more things happened in Elon's
hydrated,
personal
guys.
life that made things even worse. First, he separated with his then partner Grimes, a visually liberal lady with whom he has multiple children.
Elon Musk and Grimes have publicly announced their separation.
And simultaneously, one of his kids came out as transgender, changed their name, and denounced their dad.
Vivian cut ties with Elon in 2022 after filing a petition to change her name due to her gender identity and her severed relationship with her father.
So my son Xavier is dead. Killed by the woke mind virus.
I no longer live with
Oh
or
my
wish to be
God.
related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
If we were to look at Elon,
I think Jordan Peterson can't imagine what that'd be like. I mean, he can't because, you know, his kid's still around, but you would imagine that a guy as asshole-ish as Jordan Peterson could 100% understand what that would be like because, well, maybe he can't. Maybe that's the problem. It's a blind spot, right?
Elon's conservative radicalization through the unmet core needs theory that I laid out in our recently premiered documentary, Dear Kelly, it's safe to say that through the collapse of his family and government backing, he lost his security. Through the loss of his status as the Democrat-backed tech darling, his significance. And through the estrangement of his then girlfriend and child, connection. It was after this that Elon entered a traumatic fight-or-flight state in 2021. And he chose to fight, which allowed...
This is actually like, this is very well done by Andrew here because he's hitting on the same reasons that a lot of the young men voted for Donald Trump as well and went over that. Like, you make mistakes. You don't want to be held accountable for those mistakes. You blame others for your issues. You take on the full victimhood mentality of MAGA because you know that like there's an open door policy for anybody that wants to claim any type of victimhood over in MAGA. Like they accept everybody. They just close the door behind you. The idea that instead of taking accountability for the fact that he was like a poor father and, you know, could have kept his relationship with his trans daughter, even today, that's the fucking crazy thing is, like, he could correct his relationship with his daughter today. He could be like, hey, I fucked up. And, you know, it's not that easy. You can't just say it and it's over. But you could work really hard to get back within the good graces of your child. And I know he's got like fucking 15 kids now, but I have 2. And if either one of them really got to a point where they hated me for any reason, there's nothing I wouldn't do to try to like get back within their good graces. Like, I mean, you have a responsibility as a parent to stay involved in in your children's lives. And that's insane that he'd be so willing to just like fucking toss his own kid to the
conservatives
side like
and
that.
conservative media channels to gradually groom him over the course of 4 years into what he is today, which is a prideful person with a chip on his shoulder, hopelessly stuck in the 3rd stage of the grief process, angry and hell-bent on revenge. Elon's most significant revenge acquisition was his purchase of Twitter in 2022.
The world's richest guy is set to buy one of the world's most influential social media companies.
Elon Musk carried a kitchen sink into Twitter HQ this week, tweeting,
so
"Let
awkward.
that sink in."
Quickly after buying Twitter and renaming it X, he used his own account to elevate the narratives of conservative reactionaries who were delighted to have the richest man in the world not only buying but spreading the same bullshit they've been pushing for 4 years. Still, for all of 2023 and most of 2024, Elon was red-pilled but not fully a Trump guy. He actually backed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for president.
Elon Musk tipping his hat toward Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to be the next president.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. But no, I was going to say it seems strange, but it doesn't, right? Because it doesn't really matter what the face is. He didn't care if it was Trump. He didn't. In fact, I bet you he was happy that it ended up being Trump. He probably looked at somebody like DeSantis, and especially like DeSantis's LGBT crusade against the LGBT people. He probably looked at that as like his best chance of getting in and killing the woke mind virus. But he probably is pretty fucking happy now that DeSantis didn't win, because Trump is a much more malleable person. Like, for everything, all the shit I talk about Mom DeSantis, he does like believe the shit that he believes, and he does think that, you know, he's doing things the way that he should do them. You know, he thinks he's a morally good human being. Like, Trump obviously has no morals, does not give a fuck, and is willing to take whatever amount of money, you know, you're willing to give him to, I mean, just buy his meme coin, bro. Buy his meme coin. But that's pretty interesting. And also, I think obviously Trump didn't actually like Elon for a while there. Elon had to spend $270 million to get Trump to like him. That's pretty crazy. Most people can get Trump to like them with like 5 million. Like, Elon had to full on go a full 270. And I think it was Trent earlier said J.D. Vance also talked shit about him. And we all know that. J.D. Vance talked mad shit about Donald Trump. I wonder how much money Peter Thiel gave Donald Trump to get J.D. Vance into the vice presidency. I wonder if Thiel made a large donation in J.D. Vance's name to get him into that vice presidency.
President of the United States.
But when it turned out that DeSantis wouldn't really be the right guy, he was all Trump. Kind of. It wasn't until the Butler, Pennsylvania incident, when someone tried to kill Donald Trump, that Elon said, "I want to fight beside him too." And he kicked off his endorsement with a $120 million donation to the Trump campaign.
Elon Musk is now Trump's second biggest financial backer.
To be fair, the investment was two-sided. After Election Day, Tesla's stock shot up over 80%, though after missing European sales targets and the growth of nationwide boycotts in the US, it started to crash back down to earth, which brings us to the boycott being covered today in this video. Apparently, Elon haters in Palo Alto and also in Glendale believe they can reverse Tesla's stock growth by staging physical boycotts of IRL Tesla showrooms, which they hope will create enough of a media spectacle to at least cause potential buyers to think twice before getting a Tesla.
So AOC and Bernie Sanders.
We got to talk to Andrew Callahan about how he's ending his videos. That was rather abrupt, Andrew. Andrew's got bake. How are we doing? How are we doing that? Somebody get a hold of Andrew Callahan and let him know that I am available for a small fee. I can definitely help him get an ending on his show. Jesus Christ. Oh, all right. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.